it's fantastic that as songwriters, they're open to working with people, and it's really great that he was so accepting to my ideas, and we wrote the most heartbreaking song. It's it's one of them songs that you almost like you enjoy listening. Well, I enjoy listening to it, but you don't really want to listen to it again. But you're like, yeah,
Right.
but I enjoy it. But then, do you know what I mean? Because it's very sad.
What about the sound on the rest of the album? Is it the same as what we've heard from you in these first two songs, or is it what can we expect?
You know
Full
what?
Something.
There's a variety on the album. There's obviously the more fun, like playful side of the album, like Kiss Me Quick, and then there's the more, let's say, emotional side of the album, and then there's, I think, a side that just goes really deep, which I don't think you guys have really heard yet, especially lyrically. And then there's another new side to the album, which is quite exciting.
A surprise.
Yeah, it's like rap mixed with opera.
Guys.
No, I'm joking. Come on, who thought I was being serious there? Was it the straight face that did it for you? Yeah. No, it's quite chill. It's cool.
And let's see, 4 or 5 years ago, you broke out with The Wanted, and that was a major moment for you.
Yeah.
What have these past 5 years been like? Has there been a really big pinch me moment that you still kind of think about?
I think meeting Stevie Wonder was
That's
the
amazing.
moment.
When was that?
It was at the Billboard Music Awards. I remember that being the most stressful day on the planet. That was like, it was horrendous on so many levels. And like in the space of 5 minutes, I met Usher and Stevie Wonder, and I was just like, okay, cool. This is the best day ever now. So that was like a real moment. I then sobbed like a baby for like 50 minutes. But that was a real standout moment for me. But I think you know what I really enjoyed? I enjoyed like doing all the groundwork and learning a lot. Because I've been from all the knowledge that I gained in the first couple of years in particular, like with learning about the music industry, learning from all the school tours we did in the UK, and to be fair, even over here as well. You were able to take so much knowledge and learn about how different things work. And then when I decided to make a solo album, because it felt like the natural thing to do, I was only 20.
Yeah.
So I was like, this feels like the right thing to do. I then just put all the knowledge that I'd kind of picked up along the way into this, and I feel that kind of makes life a lot easier. So it's like being a new artist, but with all this kind of experience and knowledge at the same time. So
the fan base built right in with you. That are
not necessarily, because I think with the music being so different, I think people, if I'm completely honest, could have turned around and said I don't like it. They could have done, and I think a lot of people would have expected me to do an extension of the band. I think people would have expected me to try and rewrite "Glad You Came," but I think at the end of the day, the one thing that I always say is that don't pretend to be someone that you're not. And I think as a band, we all brought something different to the band, and I think for me to try and be the band as a solo artist would almost be disrespectful to the other four guys, because I'd be trying to take elements of them to make me, and that isn't the way that people should work in life. It's like, if anyone works in an office, do you look at the person next to you and go, oh, I'm going to try and be you to get this work done? Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So I was like, I'm just going to believe in myself, believe in any ability that I have, and kind of write what feels natural to me, and not really plan on writing in any particular style, and whatever happens. And it's been a really cool process, really getting to know myself as an artist and as a vocalist as well. It's been really cool.
You're about to go on tour with Little Mix.
Yeah.
Which would be...
Yeah.
What's your favorite part about touring?
With Little Mix?
No, just in general.
I was going to say, ask me in a few months.
Is it connecting with the fans? Is it performing live, spreading your...
Catering's really cool. I'm joking. But catering is awesome.
Sure.
Yeah, you know what? I think traveling around and being in a new city every single day, and seeing people, like seeing as many people as you possibly can on tour. Um, I think it's slightly different when you're on tour with someone. Um, so it's going to be really fun because I love a challenge, and I know for a fact there's going to be people in the audience who haven't heard my music, and it's going to be like, cool, let's go out and win them over. And there's been a lot of that in the last year, but it's part of the process that I'm really enjoying, and I'm reintroducing myself to people as an artist. So I think it's going to be slightly different on this tour, I think. But yeah, I really enjoy touring. You get a lot of sleep. That's really cool. I think when you're doing promo and stuff like that, it's like we were up at 5 o'clock this morning, and then I think with what goes on in my mind always runs at like 3 billion miles an hour. So I'll be up till like 2 o'clock tonight, and I'll be up at like 6 tomorrow. So you get to sleep so much more when you're on tour, and you also get to see loads of people as well. And everyone's like amazingly friendly and welcoming, and it's cool.
Do you plan on writing while you're on tour, or is that hard to do?
You know what? If I did that, I'd end up writing the second album, and I'm trying to stop myself from doing that anyway. So I think I'm going to take a break from writing for the time being, and fully focus on not going back in on songs that I've already written, because I'd end up like pushing that album back in further. And I think if I did that, I would get hunted down, and it wouldn't be very pleasant. So I'm going to very much just kind of stick with the date that I've got in mind at the moment for the album, and really kind of give myself a break on the creative front and just really focus on having fun.
Who are your biggest musical inspirations from nowadays that are currently
from now?
Yeah, like looking at the current landscape of pop music, who are you sort of impressed by?
You know what? I think it'd be very easy for me to turn around and be like Ed Sheeran, Adele, Bruno Mars, which is true. Like, I admire every single one of them. But you know what I'm loving at the moment? I'm loving listening to a lot of new artists, and the younger artists. There's this like new generation of talent coming through, and it's a really, really incredible time for music. Like Alessia Cara is incredible. Let's talk about Tori Kelly for a minute. It's just like, come on. And like, whose album was listening? Troye Sivan. I was listening to his album the other day. Crazy. And like, then obviously you've got like Charlie Puth and like Meghan Trainor, and do you know what I mean? So you've got a lot of talent at the moment. So it's really great that there's a lot of fun stuff happening. Shawn Mendes as well. He's really talented.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of him. So yeah, it's a really, really, really good time for music.
What about some musical idols, people you looked up when you were growing up?
I listen to old stuff. I listen to like Frank Sinatra, Donny Hathaway, like Ray Charles, Stevie Wonder, Boyz II Men. Grew up listening to Boyz II Men. So yeah, I think kind of older stuff. Boyz II Men would be mad at me for saying that it's like older stuff. They'd be like, it's not old.
But I think you can hear some of that influence in some of your solo material, some of that old sound. Yeah.
Cheers.
It's clear.
Thanks.
What's your favorite way of connecting with your fans? Do you like on Twitter? Is that your favorite to just kind of create a dialogue?
Yeah, you know what? I think it's very easy for you to sit there and be like, I'm going to look for the negative stuff on Twitter. And that was like totally me, like, over the last 5 years. I'd be like, let's look for the negative stuff. Let's fight people. And I'm like, but now I'm just like, no, I'm done with all that nonsense. It's so boring and draining. And I mean, you're never going to meet these people because they're clearly not fans of you. They're never going to come to one of your gigs. And it's just like, just let them live. It's like, let them stay in their little hole and be happy there. So I just mute and
don't read the comments.
Yeah, and just move on to the people who are going to be happy and supportive. And I think like the more that I can encourage people to be supportive to one another on Twitter and like tell people about new artists they're listening to. I love seeing stuff on my timeline. Like, hey, have you heard this new Leon Bridges track? Another great new artist. Have you heard this new Leon Bridges track? And it's like, No, but I have now. Thank you for sharing that. So I loved seeing people sharing new music with people.
And supporting other artists. And
yeah, and I think